In the year 1993 of the French Open quarterfinals, superstar Boris Becker refused to wear a Puma outfit to the game after being paid by the company upwards of $10 million in sponsorship deals to advertise their clothing in his games. The tennis legend opted instead for a plain wear of clothes without any branding on them. This sparked a huge controversy in the tennis world, and it got more media coverage than the important tournament results. Ironically, the attention drawn from this act of treason committed by Becker made the Puma company get way more exposure than they would have gotten if he just simply wore their clothing to the match. But even so, this was seen as a clear and aggressive act of defiance against his contractual obligations towards the company, especially when it came to such an immensely important game as the French Open quarterfinals. And Puma was not happy, not even in the slightest, which led to a bunch of lawsuits being filed against the tennis superstar. But not before he did that first, because as it later turned out, he had his own reasons for going against the terms of the sponsorship deal. He later publicly confessed that he had to experience several instances of Puma not following through with their own obligations and not paying him on time the solicited amount, which marked one of the biggest and juiciest tennis controversies of the time that reporters and journalists took great pleasure in taking advantage of. But looking at this from the perspective of the average man watching all of this unfold, it's crazy to think that someone could still be dissatisfied even after being paid upwards of 8 figures in a sponsorship deal. To a player like Becker, that kind of money is just chump change. And if you are not going to pay him what he deserves, and on time, he is going to come after you. And he will not wear your merch at the tournament anymore. Crazy stuff. I wonder what people even need that much money for. But if you got easily impressed by that number, wait until you see the later numbers attached to an even crazier set of circumstances. Eventually, Becker and Puma reached a legal settlement, but the details of it were never revealed to the public. Another interesting instance of a clash between a brand and a tennis star is the one that happened between Andre Agassi and Nike. In 1988, at the age of only 18, Andre Agassi gained an important sponsorship consisting of several millions of dollars from Nike. That was partly due to the fact that Agassi was known for going against the status quo when it came to tennis fashion, which gained him a ton of popularity along with his career successes. He used to wear bold and vibrant colors, unusual patterns, advanced fabrics, personalized accessories, and the memorable long hair left to wander on the back of his head like a prideful cape. This unique style of his made Nike want to get associated with it, and this is how they released to the public a totally new set of clothing based on Agassi's eccentric fashion, together with the campaign named "Image is Everything," which was a total success for both parties. That's only until things started to get heated. Within the mid-1990s, Agassi could be seen distancing himself away from the usual styles he used to wear to his matches and opting instead for a more mature outlook. As time went by, the tennis star started to be less and less interested in continuing to style himself the way he used to when he was in his youth, which led to a bunch of negotiations between him and Nike trying to reach common ground on how they should approach the new fashion preferences of Agassi and the profit optimization of Nike. Unfortunately, as time went by, the two parties failed to reach common consensus, and things got more heated. Agassi later confessed that during this period of time, he was struggling with a bunch of life problems, including drug addictions and a collapsing marriage. And he felt pressured by Nike to conform to their marketing goals on their desired clothing choices. This made the public accuse Nike and other companies alike that they put the marketability of their players above their holistic well-being. To them, a player like Agassi is just a mannequin, a soulless puppet used to advance their already fat pockets. And it shows in their actions and decisions regarding those players. This sparked another huge controversy within the tennis world at that time, especially since Agassi further confirmed the sentiment of the public against companies like Nike by taking a drastic decision in 2005 that would put an end to their relationship for the time being. Since he felt that his fashion choices didn't align with the marketing goals of Nike, he decided to not only drop the brand and move on, but to also sign a huge sponsorship deal with their arch nemesis, Adidas. The loss of such a successful and renowned player like Andre Agassi was already severe enough for Nike, but to also see him go and sign a deal with their mortal enemy? That just straight up added salt to injury. In the game of market share, where the cards are being held by brands like Nike and Adidas, that was a big and humiliating loss for the checkmark company. And this is how it went, only until the year 2013, where, surprisingly enough, Agassi and Nike made up for their bad history and they signed a new, immense sponsorship. The deal wasn't disclosed, but it's known that it was in the hundreds of millions due to Agassi's status and comparing it to how much Nike paid other athletes. Adidas had to peacefully move forward from their concluded collaboration with the long-haired tennis star, and Agassi and Nike, in the end, managed to arrive at a happy ending with no bad feelings. Coincidentally, this also happened around a time where Agassi made a full recovery from his drug addiction, which shows that reconciliation is possible when we finally come back to our senses. Either way it goes, drama-heavy or not, both parties made up with a stupendous amount of promotional cash. And all of these scandals are just small inconveniences in their life compared to how well they have it. While still on the topic of drugs, let's also talk about how tennis champion Maria Sharapova tested positive for meldonium in 2016, which gave her a sharp suspension of 15 months from playing into any tennis tournament, reduced from 24 months after she pleaded her case with the authorities. This scandal has cost her 3 of her big sponsors, including Porsche. Meldonium is a substance that enhances a person's blood flow, which increases their physical endurance and recovery, giving them a drastically unfair advantage on the field. It was added to the World Anti-Doping Agency's, WADA, prohibited list on January 1, 2016, which also happened to be the year Maria was found using it. She pleaded her case, stating that she was taking it because it was prescribed to her due to health reasons, which helped her decrease her suspension from 24 months to only 15. However, this still made her lose important sponsorships that she had going on, except for Nike, to which they renewed their contract with Maria quickly after she returned on the field after all the details about her situation were clarified. The long wait fans had to endure made the first match Maria entered have that many more eyeballs on the screen, prompting Nike to pay up an even more generous upfront fee. But it was literally nothing compared to what I am about to show you next. Roger Federer, considered by many as being the greatest tennis player of all time, at the age of 30, signed one of the biggest deals in sports history. At an age when many players are starting to think about retirement, he managed to score an immense deal without any hesitation from the company, showcasing just how big and valuable his brand is, with companies being ready to invest such a large sum of money even past the prime of a star like him, despite the fact that he was so close to his retirement at the time. In 2018, the Japanese clothing brand Uniqlo signed an upfront payment of $300 million for a deal with him, making it instantly jump into the top 5 most expensive sponsorships in sports history. This was done after a long career of stunning success and glory. But if that was impressive, wait until you see this next one. The great Serena Williams signed a $12 million deal with Puma only when she was 16. It is impressive as it is to acquire a deal as big as $300 million at the age of 30. But can you imagine signing a $12 million endorsement at only 16 years of age? What would you do with all that money? And this all happened at a time when women's tennis was as competitive as it could get. Puma really took a risk betting on Serena, and they were rewarded in droves for their decision. And she went on to become literally the best there ever was. It's still so crazy to think of earning such a big amount of money at that age. Interestingly, this case with Serena went on to become used as an example by advocates trying to redefine cultural beauty standards. It has been observed frequently across time how beautiful women always get the most generous sponsorship deals since they attract the most attention to the brand's products. This gave the irk to a few advocates, and they started criticizing companies for this stereotypical behavior, stating that women should get sponsorship deals based on their skills, not on their looks. The case of Serena signing a $12 million deal at 16 was used as a prime illustration of exemplary behavior from a company, which to me is a very weird way of calling Serena an ugly gal. I wonder if they all noticed that. No, I'm not saying she's ugly. Everybody is beautiful in their own way. I was just referring to the societal standard of what beauty is supposed to look like for women. You know? From the perspective of the other side, companies are going to have to go through a weird transition. Since it's well known that good-looking gals bring in more moolah, they'll keep going for them. Only until this anti-beauty movement continues growing and they reach this weird intersection where it actually becomes more profitable to just pander to the movement because it gets you more attention than a normally beautiful woman would, which is what we are starting to see more and more in today's sports world. Either way it goes, companies are still going to be profiting a ton unless they enter into other funny scandals. And athletes are going to continue to inspire us all with their catastrophically large sponsorship deals. That's all I had for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can be notified when we post more amazing content just like this one. See ya! Bye-bye!